Hello, 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 everyone. Hello. This is Dr. B. I'm just waiting for some more people to get on live. We are currently live on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. So, welcome, welcome. All right. I have a hot episode for you all tonight. This episode here is very special to me in more ways than one. But yes, I'm just waiting for some more people to come in. So please get comfortable, get your tea, and we are about to get started. All right, guys. So welcome to episode 21 of Health Tea with Dr. BDMP. I'm Dr. BDMP, and I'm the founder of True Phoenix Functional Medicine Center, located in Maryland, proudly serving communities in Maryland, DC, Colorado, Utah, Washington, and New Mexico virtually. We specialize in women's BHRT, PCOS care, men's TRT, thyroid optimization, gender affirming hormone therapy, weight management, and functional primary care. Now, we are currently accepting new patients, so you better get on it. So, before we get into health tea, let's get into today's actual tea spotlight. So, today's tea, we are spotlighting ashwagandha tea. And so this tea has been derived from the root of Withania somnifera, which is known for its powerful adaptogenic properties that helps the body manage stress and support hormonal balance. And here is why it's a game changer, because you guys know that I never come to you with a crazy tea. It's always something in it to help us. It has antioxidants, which helps us to protect against oxidative stress. It has saponins and alkaloids, which helps to regulate our nervous system and improve our mood. And it has bothanolides, which are bioactive compounds that reduces stress and inflammation. So today's tea, we are speaking about perimenopause and menopause. So stress, inflammation, mood, they all link together. So how can this tea help support hormonal health? Well, here's a big thing. It helps to balance cortisol levels, supports our thyroid, enhances our sleep because sleep is super important, and it helps to stabilize our mood and boost our energy. And of course, I always come with the facts. So there was a 2019 case study that found that ashwagandha is significantly or has significantly lowered cortisol levels, which has helped to improve our stress response. That alone has already sucked me in, but then I read another study. It was a randomized trial in 2020, and it showed that it improved sleep quality and it helped to reduce insomnia. So for my people going through hormonal imbalances, please look into ashwagandha tea. Please visit our collection at bit.ly/health tea with Dr. B. And what you are going to do, you're going to look for stressless steep. You'll thank me later, I promise. So any information presented in this podcast should not be taken as direct medical advice. So please consult your your personal medical professional before making any healthcare decisions. Why? Because Dr. B is not your PCP. However, if you would like to become a patient, you can always visit www.truephoenix.org. So let's get into our episode. Give me one moment. I'm so excited to introduce my guest in a few moments. So on today's episode, we will no longer be silent because we are giving the real talk on perimenopause, menopause, and hormonal truths for Black and Brown women. So today I am thrilled to announce my two incredible guests, Dr. Janae and NP Sharnice from Virginia. So ladies, please introduce yourselves.
Good. Hello, how are you guys?
Good. How are you?
Good.
Good
So
to
I'm
have-
Janae Talley. I am a nurse practitioner and I am located in Midlothian, Virginia. And in Midlothian, we specialize in weight loss, primary care services, as well as telehealth, so in-person and telehealth services as well. We do medical cannabis certifications as well. And so one of the things that we are interested in, learning and doing more about and helping more patients is with women struggling with hormone imbalances.
Yes, thank you, Janae. Thank you, NP Sharnice.
Yes, similar to Janae, my name is Sharnice, nurse practitioner. I'm located in Newport News, Virginia, and I offer medical weight loss programs, functional medicine, BHRT for women, and also medical cannabis certifications and for virtual services. So I offer wellness programs customized to individuals.
All right, awesome, guys. I'm trying to tell you, we have a hot episode tonight with these two awesome ladies. So today we are going to be spilling the tea regarding perimenopause and menopause. And I have experts of my own here on my panel so we can discuss it. But before we get down into the dirty, can each of you share your own personal journey to either specializing in hormone health, or what sparked your passion for specifically serving women of color?
I think first, you want to go?
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, my own personal journey is started during COVID. I was diagnosed with long COVID in 2020, and during that time, no one knew what that was, and I was just being told, being dismissed, and being told it's all in my head. It's nothing wrong with me, and now it'll pass by. So then I started investigating on my own, looking into functional medicine, and just started looking at my hormones and being able to optimize it myself and find a provider that would listen to me. And I just felt so much better by finding someone that would listen to me and fixing my.
Nice. Okay, Dr. Janae?
Yes. So, as a new nurse practitioner, working in primary care, I would always have women that would come in and they would say, I feel like I'm crazy. This doctor put me on this antidepressant and this doctor put me on this antidepressant and I still feel bad. And so, even after like referring the patient to GYN thinking that would help the patient, a lot of the times they would come back to me with the same revolving issue because that GYN didn't specialize in hormones. So that's really what sparked my interest. And as a woman, I want to be prepared myself, when I get there as well.
Yeah, so it sounds like you both found the root issue when it comes to serving either underserved communities or even women of color. So we usually always hear, hey, those symptoms are all in your head. Don't worry about it. Or we go into primary care aspects. And sometimes hormone health is not a discussion at all. And the thing is that once we present with some sort of hormonal issue, we get punted to other specialties. And then when we get punted, nothing is ever done because it's like, well, go back, you're fine. What are you doing?
That's normal part of aging. Yeah.
Which is what I hate to hear. It's normal. So a lot of things are getting missed because it's normal to go through menopause. It's normal to go through perimenopause. Yes, it's a transition, but you have to prepare for that and you have to prepare your body. So that is what this conversation is all about. And then Charlize, we did speak about long COVID. We don't talk much about how long COVID actually affected women's health.
Yes.
I have she's not even a patient. I have a friend, 40 years old, who caught COVID in 2020, the height of COVID. And that is the last time she's ever seen her menstrual cycle. So after seeing her journey, her hair was thinning, it was falling out. She started to gain weight. She had brain fog, and her cycle never returned. And I said, did anyone ever tell you that you're going through menopause? And she's like, no. They just said, hey, just wait for it to return. So to me, that's a huge disservice because we're in 2025, and I'm pretty sure she's still in the same spot. So I'm glad that we are having this conversation today. So for my listeners out there, I know we keep throwing around words, perimenopause, menopause, but we need to know exactly what it means. So for my listeners out there, what would you say, what is perimenopause and how does it differ from menopause?
So with perimenopause, you're in a transition. Your body is getting ready for menopause. And most of the time, this can start as early as in our 30s. Most people don't know that. But we have the symptoms of, the mood swings, the sleep disturbances, the anxiety, depression, the brain fog, trying to remember things, concentrating and focusing on things. And it's all related to our hormones.
And then menopause is when you go a full 12 months without a cycle, but you can still have the same symptoms that you just said in menopause.
Mm-hmm.
And so, how early, how early would you say that we're seeing perimenopause starting in women? In women?
Goodness, starting in your early 30s.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's scary.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it could be earlier now because of COVID. So you may have earlier symptoms.
And that's why it's important to get that baseline. You know, we talk about getting that early hormonal baseline. I think that's important because we won't know really what your baseline is.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's actually a good point. You know, because I can probably count on one hand for all the female patients or even male patients that walk through my door. And I'll ask, oh, well, what was your testosterone levels 5 years ago? My doctor has never run these levels before.
Right.
Well,
I never got mine drawn.
well, how do we know where we're going? You know? So even with that, I mean, I have a few patients now who I can clearly see perimenopause is a thing. And they'll say, no, this can't be perimenopause, you know, because I still have a menstrual cycle, you know. So there's an educational piece, but for the listeners out there, what would you say are the hallmark symptoms of perimenopause and menopause that women should look out for?
So the hallmark symptoms can be irregular periods, hot flashes, night sweats, sleep issues, brain fog, or just anything different from your normal, because it may not be those exact symptoms. So you're getting things more often, or you're just more frustrated, more irritable.
Short fuses, you know, if you notice, you know, and you were never like that before, you know, that's one of the telltale signs as well.
Yeah, and now there are a few symptoms that I learned about not too long ago, and they're not as common. However, I hear a lot of women complain of ear ringing or tinnitus, or they complain of frequent urinary tract infections, burning tongues, vaginal dryness, and the number one complaint that I always hear is, well, I like my husband sometimes. You know, today I like him. I don't know about tomorrow. So today is a good day to like him, but tomorrow he better get it on right now. So those are the classic signs that I hear in my office. So now, with all of this being said, when I hear these symptoms that you both mentioned, these symptoms are so common. We hear people talk about hair thinning, hair loss, weight gain. All three of us are well versed in weight management. And I'm probably 1,000% sure that 99% of the patients who walk into our offices have a hormonal imbalance. So, with hearing these symptoms, with them being so common, why do you think these symptoms are often dismissed or even overlooked, especially in women of color?
I feel they are often dismissed because many providers related to stress. You're too stressed. Maybe you need to relax more, maybe see food to lose weight, or just watch your diet, eat better. You'll lose weight.
And I think that's a solution for everything. You know, eat a balanced diet. You know, lower your carbs. You know, exercise. But they never really go into the root of why that happens. That's an issue in itself.
And it could be your thyroid that's imbalanced, and just fixing that, the weight will come off more easily. You might be stressed because your thyroid is out of whack.
Everything is a cycle. It's like everything goes hand in hand. So if your thyroid is not functioning, or you probably have irregular periods, you probably gain weight, then that would probably impact your hormone levels here. So there's so much. So even when we speak about women of color specifically, how many, or I'm going to say for both of you, how many of you have women that you know or that you currently manage who says, just take my uterus. I'm tired of it.
Yes.
Is that a common conversation?
Yes. Especially they bleeding so much. Just take and they later regret it because of the symptoms later on.
So that's a whole nother topic when we talk about hysterectomies in the Black and Brown community. Because when we present into our doctor's offices, they say, okay, is this what you want? Oh, you have heavy bleeding? Guess what? Let's take your uterus. Let's do a hysterectomy. And we do have women who say, heck yeah, because they are
tired.
We're tired of bleeding. So if it means that I won't soak through Super Plus tampons or be embarrassed outside or deal with the cramps, then take it. But what is the problem when it comes to hysterectomies?
It can put you in the menopause.
Surgical. So,
and then surgical complications from the hysterectomy.
Yep. And that is one thing that we never discuss. I know right now for my patients, we give them a hysterectomy follow-up plan because no one ever tells the women what to expect or how to feel or what's going to happen after your hysterectomy. And they are now being pushed and forced into surgical menopause without even knowing. Or we have a lot of women. I have a lot of women now who have never experienced perimenopause. And so when they get into menopause, it's kind of like culture shock. But I don't think they quite understand that menopause symptoms affect women in so many different ways. You might not have those symptoms, but you might have this, right?
Or they may think it's normal. Like, I just have to suffer through this and deal with it, and they just don't tell anyone. That's
a problem. That's a problem. So when we do discuss hormone replacement therapy, I know every time I say the H word, hormones, literally, all my patients jump out of their skin. Oh, no. I don't want any hormones. Don't you give me your hormones. So from your experience, and any one of you can answer this question, why do you think Black and Brown women are less likely to pursue or even openly discuss HRT, also known as hormone replacement therapy?
Well, number one is because I feel like in our community, especially, we're not taught about menopause. We're not taught about perimenopause. And then when you go to your healthcare provider with these issues, sometimes it's dismissed. So again, we're pushed back, so we still don't know what's wrong with us. And we just, keep going through the motions. But that's the main thing is that, I feel like as far as education wise, we're not educated truly about perimenopause and menopause.
Same as Janae, it's just when you deal with the symptoms, when you go to your provider, they just say, oh, it's normal. It'll go away soon. Just sleep it off. You'll be okay. And you don't hear about your mother or grandmother speaking about their symptoms or talking about it with you. So when you go through it, you just don't know, what this meant. Because I don't remember talking about it with my mother and grandmother.
Yeah. As you say that, I don't ever recall any of the women in my family speak about perimenopause and menopause besides my mother. And that's because I think we're in a new age now where we have access to, social media. We have access to the internet. But prior to that, I remember being confused on what's premenopausal or what's perimenopausal. Well, aren't perimenopausal and menopausal the same? Because I actually had a doctor who said, oh, they're the same. Don't worry about it, But Janae, Dr. Janae, you mentioned something. Leads into our next, subject, education, right? How can healthcare providers better support and encourage Black and Brown women to prioritize their hormonal health? What would be a key step for you to tell them?
I would tell anyone that is struggling with getting a provider to listen is you need to search for that provider that will listen. You want to have a provider that you can create that safe space with, that you can, have that one-on-one conversation with. and not to be afraid to advocate for yourself. If you, go to your provider and your provider doesn't understand you maybe, or doesn't, get your signs and symptoms, it's okay to ask for a second opinion. You're not hurting anyone but yourself, because you're going to keep going through that same problem and that same issue.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing. And the provider can educate themselves, take courses, even though it's not taught in school. We could take courses outside of school to learn about the new research.
Mm-hmm.
And then when the patients come in, listen to their concerns, follow the root cause of their symptoms instead of dismissing them, and just giving them proper education and resources. And if you can't find a provider that listens to you, just say, find someone that will.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's just interesting because when we talk about the education, now you touched on something important. You now need to have an educated provider who is going to say, hey, we need a provider who is knowledgeable about what is truly happening in our body. Because when we speak about symptoms such as hot flashes, brain fog, mood swings, irregular cycles, no one really understands what's going on inside the body. So for instance, when we think about our hormones, as our estrogen drops, that's one of our hormones to my listeners, the hypothalamus, which is our body's thermostat, it becomes more sensitive to temperature changes. So usually at night, that's when the hypothalamus likes to act up, because that's when the night sweats happen. That's when the hot flashes happen. And so small fluctuations with the estrogen causes the body to overreact. And that's what helps to trigger blood vessels to dilate. And that's what leads to heat, sweating, and then flushing. And then let's not forget brain fog. And I'm explaining this to our listeners because a lot of our listeners dismiss their own symptoms, which is terrible. They dismiss their own symptoms because their provider has dismissed their symptoms. So they are deemed less important. So for my women, estrogen plays a major role in cognitive function. So as levels begin to decline, our memory, our focus, and our mental clarity, it takes a hit. So one day you were just fine, but the next day you walk into the kitchen and you just forgot why you walked into the kitchen. I'm going through that now. Here's the funny thing, guys. I never like to share these kind of stories, but we're human. MC Sharnice wrote me today and said, "Hey, we're going live today, huh?" I said, "Today's Thursday, or today's today?" No. Oh, okay.
I have to put it in my calendar, because if I don't put anything in my calendar, I will not remember it. And when I saw it in my calendar, I was like, "Oh, she didn't say anything." That's it.
Which is, again, guys, we are sharing our personal stories because this happens to every one of us. I was never a planner kind of girl. Who writes in a planner? Now, if I do not put it in a planner, it's like what they say: if it isn't charted, it isn't done. That's it. And I don't think it's us being. It's not on purpose. Just remember that our levels are going through that yo-yo. That's what happens during perimenopause, and as it begins to decline, our mental clarity is taking a hit. So please give us some grace, people. Just remember, and even with our estrogen dropping, we're going to have sleep disturbances and increased cortisol from stress. And I'm sure after January, a lot of people's stress has taken a nice hike in tone, which is also worsening cognitive symptoms, our mood swings, our anxiety. And imagine going through all the stress and going through perimenopause and menopause. Right? So our estrogen and progesterone, which usually helps to regulate our serotonin, our dopamine, our GABA, it's not working. So we can't respond to stress like we usually would. And now the whole society is just irritable now, anxious, depressed. And now, think about it now, heavier bleeding. So with that estrogen, I have a love-hate relationship with estrogen. We need her when we go through menopause, but during perimenopause, she could be something else because we have missed periods, shortened or longer cycles, or heavier bleeding. Okay. So listeners, please take your symptoms seriously because it's not life kicking your butt. It could be your hormonal imbalance that's telling you what's happening. Okay. Yeah. And so here's just a small question. Why do we think Black women experience more severe menopause symptoms?
Well, definitely, I think because in our culture, we are under more stress, which could have imbalances in the cortisol levels. I also think that sometimes, it may just be like a genetic disposition that we have as well, with, the hormones as well.
Yeah, and the racial disparities as well, just being dismissed.
And that sucks. It sucks that that's the common theme when we speak about Black and brown people in the communities. Many are dismissed by doctors and they're underdiagnosed. Dr. Janae, to kind of circle back to your genetic predisposition, I've read in a study that Black women have lower baseline estrogen levels than white women, making the hormonal shift during menopause more abrupt. So this is what we're genetically predisposed to. It's in our DNA. And studies show that higher rates of vasomotor symptoms, such as those hot flashes and night sweats, last up to 14 years. Imagine hot flash for 14 years.
Yeah, that's a long time. It's too long.
It's a long time. There are so many different factors. And the problem is that when we are dismissed by doctors and have underdiagnosed conditions, cause-related complications like osteoporosis and cardiovascular disease. See, listeners, you kind of learned something new. I kind of linked the two. We said menopause-related complications, which means that these complications are more prevalent when menopause hits. So from our episode 19 that we have with MP Shanda, we learned that menopause increases the risk of cardiovascular disease, and Black women already have higher baseline risk for heart disease and hypertension. Not to mention, Black women have the highest count when it comes to fibroids. So it's a lot. This is a whole soup pot here. We can probably have a conversation about this for hours, days, months, years, because there's so much out there. Did you guys have anything that you wanted to add?
Now, I was going to say about the fibroids that it's very common among the Black women with fibroids, and that's can be due to products that we're using, environmental. That's just a whole nother topic, like you said.
It is, and I spoke about this, I believe, last week with Dr. McGee. We talked about endocrine disruptors. So the Gucci and the Burberry that I love to wear, that's affecting our hormones, people. And we love to smell good. Our deodorants, the plates that we eat off, the pans that we cook in, the foods that we're eating, everything is affecting our hormones. Everything.
Candles.
All the good things. And we're not telling you to stop it. It's kind of hard to stop things that are part of our daily lives and our routine. We just want to make sure that you are empowered with this knowledge and so that you're able to advocate for yourself. So, ladies, what are some specific tests or questions Black women should ask for when visiting their healthcare providers to ensure that their hormone health is properly and appropriately?
I would say if you're developing any symptoms that we say earlier and your provider did not check your hormones, just say, hey, can we check our hormones to see what my baseline is, to see what's optimal is? and go from there. They'll say, no, I don't do that. And find someone else who will.
Do you think I'm in perimenopause? When am I in menopause? When will I be in menopause? Some tests that you want to ask for, your routine labs, of course, but definitely your progesterone, your testosterone, your estrogen levels, your cortisol levels. You want to get all of your labs done so that you know what exactly is going on. And if you do have a provider that does not do hormones, it's okay to get another provider, to order those labs, or look for someone that is in functional medicine.
Right. You guys bring up an amazing point. Find a provider who will. You don't have any, well, you want to have loyalty, yes. But when it comes to your health, when it comes to being optimal, you have to really do what is best for your hormone health. Because as you're learning here today, hormones, especially in the Black and brown women or communities, it's being completely disregarded. We can barely get pain addressed. Now we're speaking about hormones, which is on another level. So know about those tests. Dr. Janae just mentioned the tests that you can get checked. I'm sure you guys didn't know about cortisol, because these are things that are new to our community. They don't tell us about this. We're still trying to get out of food deserts. So location plays a huge role. What we're exposed to plays a huge role in everything. But if you equip yourself with the proper tools, then you should be definitely okay. And so we spoke about a few labs last week where you can use cash to pay for it. You have Ulta Labs, you have Get Labs, you have Rupa. There's also Full Script. Full Script is now also offering labs. And there are so many different tests that you can find even on Rupa, where you're able to do genetic testing to see what you are already predisposed to. Find out what your genetic or DNA blueprint is. You can be the person who breaks the cycle for the next generation, which is what we are aspiring for us people here.
That's for our children.
Yeah, break that cycle. I want our sons and daughters to truly understand perimenopause and menopause and andropause. And we'll speak about andropause in a few months. So, guys, June is andropause month or men's health month. Okay. So, but yes. So, if a woman is hesitant about starting hormone replacement therapy, I want to pass this question to NP Shirley. What would you say to her about the potential risks versus benefits when it comes to HRT?
Mm-hmm. And so the benefits outweigh the risk. So the benefits is protect you against osteoporosis, dementia, cardiovascular disease, protect your skin, bones. The list goes on and on and on. So the risk is very low. So why not feel better versus suffering through the symptoms? Mm-hmm. And if you are still concerned about the rest of hormones, just educate yourself. There's nothing wrong with reading up on it on your own and coming back. You don't have to start it, today. You can always come back later after you educate yourself.
Absolutely. I'm so glad that you added that last piece, because NP Charnice is not telling you to go out there and start hormones willy-nilly. You still need a hormone specialist. So remember, I said hormone specialist, not a medical provider who is just going to throw treatment at you and not explain anything to you. You have to be comfortable. You have to understand things. Never start treatment if you're still hesitant, because it's going to be a rough journey for you and your provider.
And also make sure the provider is licensed.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's a lot of people out there that say they are providers and practitioners and they're not licensed. They are health coaches. So it's different. But that's a whole nother topic.
That's a whole. Again, listeners, we're not attacking anyone. We just want you to be equipped and armed to deal with everything out there. Remember that we are in in a different kind of generation where social media has taken over and there are trends. Hormones are trends now. So it's no longer about the betterment of the people. It's more about getting the money from the people. And meanwhile, you could be suffering with side effects that these people have no idea of like how to fix. So we just want to make sure that with whatever decision you make, that you are armed and equipped with the knowledge to go through with it. Okay. So yeah, so I have another question because we will always have those who are still on the fence when it comes to HRT. I don't know why, but I know why, but I don't know. So, only because we know what the benefits, right? But there are always going to be other factors. So, Dr. Renee, how can lifestyle factors like diet, stress management, and exercise women manage hormonal transitions much more smoothly?
So definitely when our hormones decrease, one of the main things that happens is that we gain weight. And paying attention to our diet and exercise can be so beneficial to some of the symptoms as well as helping with weight loss. That's one of the main symptoms that I hear from women is like, I'm doing everything I can, I'm working out, I'm doing strength training, but the weight is still there. And I always suggest then, you really want to get the hormones checked to see where you are.
I hear a lot of women talk about cardio. Here's what I've learned the hard way. I've tried out walking 10,000 steps, 12,000 steps, 13,000 steps, and 15,000 steps. What I've gathered is that 15,000 steps a day, it is hard to do, so I understand. But 15,000 steps and weightlifting is usually the key to helping those who are going through perimenopause and menopause because it helps to minimize what we like to call menopause belly. That's that cortisol likes to sit where you look bloated. So that, and then diet, because we did touch on diet. Making sure that you are monitoring your protein intake because protein helps to build muscle. So you're going to need your protein. And lowering the carbs. If your carbs do not balance out with how much you're working out, then you need to lower the carbs because carbs can turn into sugar and sugar turns into insulin. And insulin becomes a bully to our hormones, which is insulin resistance. So guess what? Insulin resistance makes us do what? Gain weight.
Your belly weight.
Especially in the belly, and it will make you have an appetite out of this world. So be mindful about what you're eating because no one is forcing you to hormone replacement therapy. However, we are teaching you things to help you manage your hormones more appropriately. Okay? And so as we start to wrap up, I want both of you to give me one major takeaway that you hope every listener remembers from our conversation today about hormones and healthcare, particularly in the Black and Brown community.
Make sure you track your symptoms, seek out a healthcare provider that will listen to you, educate yourself, and don't suffer in silence.
Suffer in silence. I like it. I like that one.
Yeah, I think the main thing is just don't be afraid to speak up and be your own advocate. I feel, sometimes, especially as women, we are afraid to say, oh, well, I didn't get to say this, so we'll tell the nurse. We won't tell the provider, but we'll tell the nurse. And then that message never gets delivered. So you want to make sure that you are your own advocate because only you're in control of your healthcare.
The common theme here is self-advocacy. Equip yourself with all this knowledge. Even outside of this podcast or outside of this episode, there is more knowledge. Okay? And so, so here's the last question, I promise. Finally, how can patients find you both to learn more or get started with you when it comes to hormone replacement therapy?
So,
You can find you can find me at summervitawellness.com. Same on Instagram and Facebook.
okay. And I am Live Health and Wellness with the A for Stanfield. I'm on Instagram, social media. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. My telephone number is 804-636-3918. And my website is feelaliveagainnow.com.
Feel alive again, people. Thank you ladies both for joining this episode. Listeners, please thank our guests. I hope you guys enjoyed them. Please drop any questions that you may have in the chat. I promise that we will respond to them. We're open to it here. We're all about educating. We're all about keeping you safe, most importantly. And we're all about making sure that you are advocating for yourself because you should not suffer in silence. We're in 2025. You should not be suffering in silence now. There's too many resources out there. We just want to make sure that you're choosing the best ones. All right, ladies. Thank you both for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. I'm going to seek my guest out. All right, Dr. Janae and P. Charnice, I will talk to you both later.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye. All right, guys. So thank you all for supporting and attending this episode and supporting Health Tea with Dr. Beatty MP. Again, every episode is so near and dear to my heart because at the end of the day, education is where it should be. You don't have to see Dr. B, but as long as you see a provider who is actually seeing you, understanding you, and actually hearing you and wanting to help you genuinely. Okay. So again, if you are interested in becoming a patient, you can also follow us at True Phoenix Community Care on Instagram. We're on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook and YouTube. You can also visit bit.ly/health tea with Dr. B, where you can look at some of the teas that we offer and become part of the True Phoenix community. And again, please do not forget to follow Health Tea with Dr. B, also on Facebook and Instagram. Tell me what you all would like to see. I promise I will listen because we have a few episodes coming up from other listeners' requests. All right, all. You guys take care and good night.